Hey everyone, can you hear me?
Yes.
Cool, thank you. I'm Kelly Schmader. I'm actually your admissions representative for this degree, so you'll be in touch with me, as you're going through the application process and beyond. And I have with me Justin Sinkovich, who's the program director.
Hey everybody.
Hey.
Hi.
Hello. Hi, thanks for joining us today. So we're gonna do a little top level, like why you might want to study this degree, and I'll go through some of the admissions stuff, and then Justin will talk about the curriculum at the end, and then we'll just open it up for any questions. Let's see here. Okay. Will you talk through this?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to talk about this. So the reason this is a brand new program, as I'm sure you're aware, we're really excited about it. And why we started this program is to lean into our expertise here in the department. We have a lot of entrepreneurs here in the department that are specifically focused on creative industries. So we have people from virtually every discipline in the creative industries, including film, television, music, sports, fashion, visual arts, and everywhere in between. And so, yeah, we come from a really wide range of backgrounds, but we're also all currently still out there hustling, running our own businesses, myself included. And so we like to bring that knowledge into the classroom and help people start their new creative, basically turn their creative ideas into viable business ventures and give you the tools to do that. And with that, we're also located right here in downtown Chicago, which is an excellent entrepreneurial hub, and we're able to really leverage our relationships across the city and beyond just Chicago, but also the rest of the United States and the world to help connect you with resources and people and ideas from the entrepreneurial community. And so yeah, we're really excited about the program in this first year. And yeah, I think that's a Kelly. That's a good introduction.
Overview, for sure. All right. Okay. So I'm gonna just talk about the application requirements. I think I've seen some of your names on our system, so maybe you've already started this. Applications require a fee of $60. If that's an issue for you, you can get in touch with me. We can talk about a fee waiver. You'll want to include your resume, 2 letters of recommendation, and transcripts from all the colleges or universities you've attended. When it comes to letters of recommendation, a common question I get is like, who does my recommender have to be a professor, even if I haven't been like in school formally for a while because I'm back in, my career? And the answer is no. It can be somebody who has been your supervisor or maybe a colleague you worked closely with. We really just want to get at people who have worked with you and know what your capacity is and what your passions really are, and who can speak to who you are, basically. So that's my recommendation for that. And then moving forward, I would say the biggest part of all of our graduate applications is the self-assessment essay. For this one, it's more so about like what it is about entrepreneurship that you want to pursue. So why are you looking to come back to school now? What goals do you have? Especially if you have a specific business idea in mind, this would be a chance for you to outline what you might be hoping to get out of the program and what you're hoping to build while you're in it. And then we have a couple of more like nuts and bolts questions that we want you to hit about whether or not you've used any technologies or software in terms of business. We just want to get a sense if you'll be able to handle the fact that the curriculum, for starters, is hybrid, meaning some parts are online and some are in person. And, entrepreneurship in and of itself is a very innovative field, and it's using a lot of new technologies that we have. So it'd be great if you have some experience with that.
Yeah, and let me just jump in here and just say that the essay is so incredibly important, just because obviously we don't know you. So we have a committee that reviews your application, And as Kelly said, we're just trying to make sure that you're going to be poised to succeed in the program. So first of all, don't be stressed out or intimidated by writing the essay. Just give us your sincere background related to these questions, but do a thorough job, spell check it, that sort of thing. Get somebody to read it for you, because we do take these essays really seriously. And don't worry if, you don't necessarily have to have business education background or entrepreneurship education background or run your own business before, but we just want to make sure when you get in there, you're gonna be able to do the work, be responsible, and just know a little bit about your background. So that would be a little bit of my advice for that. So,
yeah, that's really good advice for sure.
Yeah.
Don't get too intimidated.
Yeah.
And then the optional materials is your portfolio. This is basically like, what are you about? If you have work that you really want to show, it could be business related, or like Justin said, if you have just a creative background, like you work in photography or graphic design, providing materials along those lines would just be a good way to give the review committee a sense of who you are. And then we might contact you for an interview during the admissions process. That's just conditional depending on if the committee wants to get any questions answered that they feel they didn't see the answers for in your application.
Absolutely. And yeah, then the portfolio is optional, but again, because we may not have a chance to interview you or just be, we don't know you. It's a really good way for us to learn about your professional personality. So if you have one, put it together, but it's not a deal breaker if you have nothing together.
I don't think any of you are international students, but if you are international, there are a few more steps to your application. That's the link right there. You can always get in touch with me. I'll put my email on the screen at the end of this, and I can walk you through that part. And then what you should remember is that the priority application deadline is March 13th. That's a Friday the 13th. This is not like a hard and fast deadline in the sense that afterwards we may still look at applications. It's just that this is the deadline for our incoming student scholarships. So if you don't make the deadline, you'll be less likely to be considered for any aid, which is just a good leeway or segue into our financial aid portion. So this is a 30 credit program. Tuition is determined by credit hour, and so it's like roughly $36,000. We do have some funding sources offered through the school. These are assistantships and scholarships, like the graduate award that I mentioned on the last page. There's potential for on-campus employment and loans, but one thing that is specific to this program is that because of the nature of the schedule, you should be able to take the program and stay in a full-time job. So we're hoping that, if you can keep your full-time employment, that would be a really good way to help finance being in school and like keep your, make what you need for your income and all that. And then just on the note of scholarships, that incoming students are automatically considered for them and the assistantship. And if you're admitted and you receive it, it's just going to automatically be in the letter. So basically you don't have to worry about making sure you hit any other applications, or at least in terms of Columbia. And then a couple other parts is that we do recommend that you fill out FAFSA basically as soon as possible. That'll determine your eligibility for student loans, and then you'll get the award letter saying how much you're receiving in loans usually a couple weeks after you're admitted. So that's just something to keep in mind as part of the whole process if you think you're going to have to take out loans to finance this. Okay, and yeah, and then the last part is after you're admitted, we hold admitted student days. So one of the things that's unique to this program, since it's its first year, is that if you come to class or you come to campus, if you sit in on a class, it'll more likely be a management class just because we don't have an existing cohort.
Right.
We're still in the middle of planning it, so this is just kind of like the general idea of like what you would do on this day, but it's just a good opportunity to come in and start meeting the people that you would be working with to help you make your decision or to confirm that you made the right decision if you've already committed.
Yeah, I think it's always good that if you're going to start school somewhere that you get a feel for what, if you can. A lot of people are far away, or I don't know where everybody's from who's on this meeting today, but if you can come in and meet me and a couple students and faculty, again, it won't necessarily be from this program because this program will be new for this coming fall, but it'll be people teaching in the program, and you'll just get a general sense of what the campus is like and what everybody's like, which I think in our case is always a positive thing. And we can answer, of course, any questions you might have. But yeah, if you can make it to this, if you're admitted, highly recommend it.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, I think I'm gonna turn it over to Justin here to talk about the curriculum a little bit, because this is probably the newest information.
This is the newest information because, again, new program. This is something that I'm the point person in designing, and so we basically have 4 classes in the fall, and fall semester is divided into 2 terms. So the first term is 8 weeks. And it'll start with the first entrepreneurship class, and that will be taught by yours truly, myself. And yeah, as it says there, I have an extensive entrepreneurship background, mostly in music business, a lot of tech startup and other areas of media. And I'm also still an active music business, music producer, but also active entrepreneur as well. So we'll get in there for the first class and talk about working with ideas, becoming creative and innovative, and how to first frame your creative idea into a business venture. So that's one class, and the other class is the economics class, where we talk about economics, and then we talk about marketplaces globally. I don't have a instructor listed there quite yet. I've narrowed it down to a couple people. We're just kind of confirming eligibility and everything. But yeah, as you can see down at the bottom, so this is a hybrid program, and this is something that we researched, and we found that this would be most beneficial to the most amount of students. So the way it's going to work is, in that 8-week period, there will be 3 class meetings that are 2 hours and 50 minutes per class meeting. And those are on weekdays in the evening, starting at 6:30. I'm pretty positive they're going to be Tuesday and Wednesday. So I forget which one is which. I think the entrepreneurship class is going to be Tuesday at 6:30, and economics Wednesday at 6:30. So you'll do that 3 of the 8 weeks. The remaining coursework will be online, and you'll be responsible for work weekly. So it's not one of those online classes where you can just run in and do several weeks all at once, but it gives you the flexibility of only being on campus 3 of those 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Is that good?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
Yeah, good.
And then the next week, because we're operating in 15-week semesters, the next term is only 7 weeks, and that's going to be 2 classes, which is a law class, but it's going to be specifically related to entrepreneurship. And by the way, all of these classes are specifically related to creative entrepreneurship, not just any entrepreneurship, but related to creative sectors, which you can interpret that in different ways. So we'll see where the boundaries of the term creative take place, but focused on creative industries. Yeah, so legal aspects with Monique May. She's in the office right next to me. She's fantastic. She's a sports agent, has a lot of experience in not-for-profits, but she does have her JD. And then financial forecasting and planning. So that's a finance class, again, related specifically to entrepreneurship and creative industries within the context of creative industries. That's taught by a very talented finance, accounting, and data nerd named Ryan Smith. And again, that's only 7 weeks, but you'll have 3 in-person evening sessions again on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 6:30 to 9:20.
Cool.
Spring, similar, same setup, 15 weeks, but divided into 8 and 7. So that first 8 weeks, you'll be in basically Entrepreneurship 2. That class is basically taking that creative idea that you put together in fall, and how you would actually launch that business, how you would make sure that it's a sustainable business by staffing it and making sure it's running properly, and how you may grow that business. And then there's a marketing class related to creative new ventures as well. So that's the third segment that starts in the spring. And our spring semester, just so you know, starts kind of at the end of January. Then the second spring term, you have so social influence and community engagement is so important in entrepreneurship these days. So we have a specific class related to social entrepreneurship, social influence, and also community engagement. So that's our class. And then venture funding, how to fund your venture and how to keep it cash positive. Very, very important. And so that will be, those will be the 2 classes for the second part of spring.
Yeah. Okay. We were rounding it out with the summer.
Then summer, yes. Yeah. And then finally summer, it's an 8-week session. It starts at the beginning of the summer. So basically right after the spring session is over, you have about a week break. And then you jump right back into strategic leadership. So how to be a leader. Obviously, if you're going to launch a new venture and sustain and grow a new venture, you have to be a good leader. So we'll study that. And then you'll do the capstone class, which is basically creating your business plan. And we're still figuring out if we're going to do a full-on business plan or not. There's some pros and cons to that. But you'll come up with a full plan, and you'll learn how to pitch and communicate this new venture, both on paper, digital paper, and then also verbally. You'll also learn the parameters in which people like venture capitalists and other people evaluate your plan, and you'll actually be able to evaluate your peers and give feedback and that sort of thing in that course. So that's your capstone, which kind of rounds everything out. And there you go. If you decide to go in 1 year, you can knock that master's degree out in 1 year. Actually, less than a year.
Yeah, that's true.
11-ish months.
Yeah.
So
that's a good deal.
Yeah, that's the program.
Yeah. So that was basically the top level of the, starting from why do we do this through admissions, through what you'll actually study while you're here. So we just wanted to open it up for any questions at this time. And also here are our emails, so feel free to reach out to either of us.
I'm happy to answer any questions via email, or if you want to do a call one-on-one or anything like that, I'm always happy to do that. I'm quite available. Yeah. Questions? I see everyone has their microphone on mute. Does anybody have a question?
Hi, this is Trisha Loschutz, and just thank you. This is really great to have it fleshed out a little bit more.
Cool.
Just maybe a couple questions on the classes.
Yeah.
Will they be some of them or all of them also with students from other programs, or just with those in the Entrepreneurship Creatives program? And then are the classes more project-based, papers? How would we be evaluated in the classes?
Yeah.
Generally.
Questions. Okay, so first off, I would say this first year, it's a vast majority of, probably almost all of the students are going to be in this program. I have heard from another program that's wanting to have some of their students take the courses. So that's a little bit up in the air, but I would say especially now, this first year, a vast majority of them are going to be in this program with you together. And then as far as how the courses are going to be structured, generally speaking, Columbia is a very keep it real college.
Yeah.
And so we typically work in the classroom in very realistic, real life projects. So especially the entrepreneurship classes. So in my first entrepreneurship class, you're going to be you're going to learn how to be innovative and ideate, but you're going to be working on an idea you have, whether it's something that you're really passionate about starting as a new business or just a cool idea that you might come up with during that term. Some of the other courses like I don't know, the law class maybe, and some other more just nuts and bolts type courses. You might get into more papers and traditional study, but again, for the most part, we're very project based here, and I am fully aware of the fact that it's typically a lot easier to learn things if you're applying the content while you're learning it. And since we're moving so quickly, there's going to be a lot of application of content. Does that answer your question, Trisha?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Okay, rad. Cool. Anybody else with a question?
I had a question about the resume portion of the application.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
So let me see. Would it be a bad idea to, I guess, go more of the CV route so that I can give more specifics on, the types of projects that I've worked on in those positions? I feel like sometimes resumes get very, broken down into very short descriptions, and there's not a lot of detail there. So would that be an okay thing to do, or would it be better to just kind of discuss my experience in that self-assessment?
That is, a CV is totally fine. I'm completely aware of the difference for people on this call here, this meeting. A CV is a little bit more academically focused and is structured a little bit differently. My CV is something like 17 pages. So that's totally great to use either one. Use either one. Yeah.
Great. I also had one more last question. So I was told that it's possible to do this program part-time, but correct me if I'm wrong, all of the classes, even if you're doing this program full-time, all of the classes are still after work hours. So I could still do a full-time program and a full-time job. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yep. It's we have structured that for just that question. You can't, first of all, you can do the program part-time. At this time, the classes are only offered once a year, so that's one thing to, when you're scheduling your class, want to be aware of. But we can certainly guide you to make this the path of least resistance in that regard. And then, but yeah, we structured it weekdays at night at 6:30, so you do have that time to get down here when you need to, and by 6:30 and do your class. And again, it's 2 days a week you'd be doing that, so not too difficult on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And again, we did quite a bit of research, and that's what we determined would be the best for folks like us that have full-time jobs and still want to study, whether it's part-time or full-time.
Yeah, I mean, it can be a hard decision to pause whatever your career is right now to come back to school. So the idea with this program is to accommodate that a little bit so you can keep moving towards that goal, but still be able to, keep the day job.
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool.
Hi guys. So this is LeGrand, and I've been out to the school. I came out in October, I think is when you guys had the open house last year, and we talked about this program a little bit, and you guys really fleshed out a lot for me, so that's very helpful, and thank you. I wanted to ask though, I did talk a little bit about maybe staying here in Los Angeles and just commuting there for the days that they have the classes in seat. Are those classes going to be spread out throughout the segments?
Yeah, so awesome. And yeah, we definitely sat around and looked at the calendar and thought about people like you that might want to commute, and came up with something that balanced convenience in that for the commuter meets the most impactful way to deliver the content. And so yeah, it's gonna be, I actually don't have the calendar up in front of me, but think of it being, so in that first 8-week segment, think of you meeting for those first 2 classes the second week of school. So the first week you're kind of studying, getting some reading and research done that first week. Second week you're in the classroom for your 2 classes on Tuesday and Wednesday evening. Then a couple weeks later you would come back and do the 2 classes, and then a couple weeks later come back at the end of the term and do your classes. Then a couple weeks later you would have to come back. So it'd be roughly every 2 or 3 weeks you would need to be back here during the semester for 2 days on Tuesdays.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the only reason why I was thinking this too is because I work for a company that's actually based out of Chicago, and the thought was, I could probably even just, pick, just still continue to work there throughout the day and never really miss anything, and not really have to pick up and move.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, if what's funny is my wife works for a company in Los Angeles and Hollywood, and we're about to buy a place in LA, and we're going to start living in both places too. So that I totally get it. It's possible. It's sometimes can be, a little tricky on the schedule, but my wife actually does that all the time. So yeah, especially if you have work here where you can come in and work, that might work for you. And I'm happy to kind of send you some info on how we have the term structured as well, so you can take a look at that.
That would be great. Thank you so much.
Okay, cool. Yeah, just do me a favor, and if you want to email us, we'd be happy to share some of that info.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, awesome.
Okay, I have 2 questions myself. My first question is, well, first off, before I get into that, my name is Robert Jones. I just want to say thank you for all the information you guys have given thus far. My first question is, what kind of things are you looking for as it pertains to the resume? Do you have to have a certain level of leadership already kind of being shown on the resume? What are you guys specifically looking for? Because my job right now might not pertain to actually what I specifically want to do.
Absolutely. I wouldn't worry about that. Just make it reflect who you are accurately and make it look professional. And that's pretty much it. I mean, people are going to come from a very wide range of backgrounds and experience. Some people may be, we expect people who have completed their undergrad in something completely unrelated to business, maybe let's say dance. And maybe all of their background is in dancing. And maybe they want to start a dance studio, or maybe they want to completely do something differently, start a nightclub, so there, as long as the resume, it looks professional, looks like you can put together a professional resume and tells us something accurately about yourself, you're totally fine.
Yeah, I would add on to that by saying it's your resume is your set of facts about your career to this point. You can't really change that necessarily, although you can present it in certain ways. But the essay is where you can really tell your story and get into why maybe your resume doesn't reflect the fact that you really want to start a nightclub, even though you've only done ballet or what have you.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
Okay, and then my last question is, I know I've been on one of your webinars before, but I just want to make sure because I'm getting ready to study for the GRE, and it's to my understanding that it's no specific timeline that you have to take the GRE in order to apply to Columbia. You can take it. I could take it, for example, if I want to take it, tomorrow, and I want to apply a year from today, then it's not going to affect my my application, correct?
That is correct. The GRE is optional for this program.
Yeah, and so, I mean, let's say that means that you're considering waiting until next year to apply. The GRE score technically lasts, quote unquote, for 5 years. So
Okay.
you'd have a while to still apply with that score being valid.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. That's all I had.
All right,
Okay.
cool. Thanks, Robert.
Yeah.
I think we've heard from everybody,
Yeah.
but does anybody have any questions after they've thought about it or hearing everybody else's questions? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I think.
Yeah, just reach out if anything comes up to you then. And I'm glad you joined us today.
Yeah, I see LeGrand unmuted. Do you have a question?
No, I was getting ready to just say goodbye and thank you again.
Okay, cool.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, great to hear from you again. Everyone, if you have any questions, just feel free to shoot either of us, both of us, a message. I'm happy to set up a call.
All right.
Okay. Have a good one.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
no problem.
Bye-bye.
Recording. Got so much to do.